Welcome into another episode of Five Star Values. I'm your host, James Fletcher, alongside Jamie Shaws. We break down the latest happening across the recruiting world. These guys that we're starting to learn the names of, we're starting to get more familiar with their game. Of course, we talked about the 2026 class recently here on the show. We now have kind of a crossover episode, I guess. We're going to talk a little bit of 26, a little bit of 27, because we have a reclassification, our first big one of this cycle here, that is going to play a major impact on the way that the rankings shape out, on the way that recruitments shape up over the next few months, over the next full year, really, as teams start to lock in guys. It's Bruce Branch the third. Jamie, he moves from 27 to 26. A guy out of prolific prep, 6'7", small forward. I mean, he's got all the prototypical things that you want from a five-star. So tell me about his move into this class and what it means for his ranking.
Sure. So he was the number one player for Rivals in 2027, jumped over to 2026, slotted him in at number 4 to start off with. And it's going to be very interesting to see kind of how he continues to move forward. He's a very interesting test case, as is a lot of this 2026 class, because there aren't that many high floor finished products in this class. There's a ton of questions, a ton of upside. There's a ton of things that people still need to continue to put together. And Bruce Branch is very similar to that. His upside is as high as any. We've talked about it in previous episodes. We talked about it ad nauseum. That forward, that 6'7" long armed forward, how the margins are so wide, for their progression to be able to move forward into a productive role at the highest levels of basketball. Will they be the 3 and D guy? Will they be the play creating forward? Will they be the two-way guy? There's just so much there when it comes to positional fluidity that you can grow into, given that base of what he has. Now he's going to have to figure out his skill set, moving into what he is as a player and figuring out all that, because the ceiling is high, but that doesn't come without inconsistencies with him his game as well, which puts him right in there at number 4. What he did was he split Bryson Howard and Caleb Gaskins, 2 guys that are very high floor guys that have high upside and positional value as well. And he's going to have the ability, I think, going to have 2 or 3 more updates within this class for him to be able to move up or down or kind of appropriate where he sees fit.
Yeah, one thing that I think is really interesting when we see these reclasses is the idea that he goes from number 1 in the 27 class to number 4 in the 26 class. And it's not just a matter of he's, this talented versus, oh, there's 3 guys who would be number 1 in 27 necessarily sometimes. There's also the fact that he's a year younger. He's a year less into his development curve. And so you talk about his ability to move up from here. I always think that's really fascinating to see. You almost always have a guy who goes from one class to another. He's going to be lower in the rankings. And I don't think that it's always because there's better players in this upper class. It's that, like I said, he just hasn't gotten as many reps. We haven't seen as much from him because he's got more room to grow. He's younger than a lot of these guys.
For sure. And Branch, obviously, moving his birthday falls within the NBA draft range, to be able to get into the 2027 NBA draft with the 2026 class and everything. So this move kind of makes sense from that standpoint when you're a top type of prospect in that way. With him being a 27, he has more time to grow into his game and to kind of figure out the holes that are kind of there. With 2026, there's less time there for him to be able to develop into kind of those holes. There's some inconsistencies that he has within his game, being able to tighten up dribbles, getting to his spots, the base work that he has, shooting touch that he has, flowing within kind of all of that. He's also never been the primary focus on a team. This past year, growing up the first couple of years at Perry High School with Koa Pete, playing Compton Magic this past summer with Cam Williams. Now he's at the Prolific Prep with Caleb Holt, Nas Anderson, and the list goes on of that team's talent. So he's never kind of been the guy, he's been a complimentary option. And within that complimentary option, he's been able to flow in and out of games and kind of have flashes and stretches of production and intrigue without kind of sustaining it, being at the top of a scouting report. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of how he flows into that. Can he find more consistent outputs going, for the massive 32-point games and following that up with another game
Yeah.
of high, as opposed to, 32, 5, 10, 11, 3, just having all that sporadically throughout. Can he consistently find his output for what he's able to do? Because as we mentioned, the ceiling is so high with his game. He does have some handle. He does have some positional length and fluidity. He does have the size. He does have some shooting. Now it's all about putting that together. How does he consistently create advantages on the ball? And how does he, and what are his spots on the floor? How does he get to them? Balance and footwork and all that type of stuff as well.
Yeah, he of course also brings the NBA legacy with him here as well. That's become more and more as you look across all sports. It's just these kids of professional athletes, they continue to have that kind of just upper hand of understanding, of course, the athletic lineage. We know that they've got it's the genes for it. So I'm just really fascinated to see how he develops in the 26 class. But on the flip side, that leaves the 27 class one player short. Of course, he was number one there. So now there's a new number one in that 27 class. That's Musa Kamasoko is in the top spot now out of Long Island Lutheran, 6'8", small forward, fits that same type of mold, a lot of potential to grow into. What do you like about his game that has him in that top spot right now?
Well, it kind of has to do a lot with, that positional versatility and that intrigue that he has from the wing position. At 6'8", he's somebody who's capable of dribbling, shooting, and passing to an advantage. He can knock down the corner three off the catch. He can get to the mid-range pull-up. He's a very instinctive defender, which also leads to a lot of deflections. He's very good. He can play up the line aggressively off the ball. He can slide down. He can rotate. And he can guard on the block a little bit, both forward positions as well, sliding his feet. Not a supreme athlete, but he's one of those guys who just kind of, finds his way toward production. And there's an up curve that he has in his game coming up over these last couple seasons that he's just continued to develop. He's continued to find his production, continued to find his way into all that. But again, looking forward, the lengthy, fluid 6'8" player who's able to dribble, shoot, and pass to an advantage. There's a lot of different pathways that guy can go down over these next couple of years as he continues to grow as a player.
Yeah, CJ Rosser, another guy, number one in the consensus, number two, according to Rivals, who is going to benefit from this moving up the board here. Another guy, really interesting to see at the power forward position what he turns into at 6'9".
When you look at CJ Rosser, it's hard to not understand his scoring ability. He's able to score at all three levels. There's self-creation there. He's really good off the ball. The spot shooting, the jump shot is beautiful. The release, he hits all his balance points and everything. The footwork, great getting into it. Really learned how to move off the ball this past summer, getting to spots in the half court, mid court with cuts and various type of duck ins and stuff to be able to find opportunities in that way. And he's a very fluid, very good athlete. His mom played at Virginia Tech, 6'4". Might be a little bit of growth there still involved with CJ, what he brings. But as he stands right now as a 6'9" player, able to create advantages on the offensive end by stretching the floor off the catch, but also getting within 2 and 3 dribbles to his spots and finishing at multiple spots in the half court. There's a lot of value and upside with what he brings in scoring the basketball at his size.
For sure. And we're going to, again, with the 27 class, just like we talked about with Branch in the 26 class, a lot more updates, a lot more of these guys are going to kind of pave their way throughout the course of this thing. They're going to continue to develop, continue to grow into what their game is. We're going to see more and more that path that they're starting to go down as they get towards the college game. And then beyond that, the NBA game as well. So a lot still to look at, a lot still to evaluate for both of these classes. And we'll get to that throughout the course of this show, throughout the course of the year as we talk about it. But as we wrap up what is going to be a little bit shorter than usual show today, I want to talk, Jamie, about this Houston class because it's starting to come together in 2026. They've landed 2 recent commits, Akina Alozie at the point guard spot and Arfan Diane at the center position. they're kind of anchoring both ends of the rotation here. We saw them, of course, the 25 class, they did the same thing with Kingston Fleming and Chris Sinak. That has worked out very well to this point in the season. What do you like from both of these guys? Because I think this is a really good and a really Kelvin Sampson esque combination here to bring in early in the recruiting cycle.
For sure. I absolutely agree with you. Sometimes you look across the landscape and you see just something that just fits. When it comes to Ikenna Alozie and Kelvin Sampson, it just fits. Alozie is a hyper athletic, explosive guard um, who needs a little bit of freedom on the offensive end of the floor to be able to get his stuff done, but has incredible upside guarding at the point of attack and being able to play um, two-way basketball. And Kelvin Sampson's had a ton of success with guys that are in that mold, tough-minded guys that are hyper athletic and able to just go get some offense. You know, and the Ikenna Alozie aspect of things, he was a high-level recruit coming out of last season. Houston was able to identify him early as a target. His summer might not have gone as expected. A couple of schools dropped off or put their focus toward other situations, and Houston was able to still stay the course, prioritize them, and get what was essentially all the way dating back to last year one of their top targets on their board in Ikenna Alozie. The fit there is there, as I mentioned. Again, hyper athletic guy. He's able to touch the paint pretty regularly. He's able to knock down jump shots, pull up variety, and he's got high upside defending at the point of attack with his ability to slide his feet, his aggressive nature, strength, and athleticism. Then you go to Arfan Diane. He's a little bit unique for Kelvin Sampson, so I'm very interested to see what that looks like. He is without question the most physically ready center in this 2025 recruiting cycle. He's going to be able to jump in from day one and be able to be in the rotation, produce, and have some offense stuff run through him. What he is, he's a low block anchor on the offensive end of the court. You're able to dump the ball down to him. He's able to get, if there's a one-on-one matchup, he's able to get to either shoulder. And a go-to, he's got the footwork to hit a counter as well already. And if the double team comes, he's able to pass away from the double team, setting up his teammates and getting the defense into kind of a scramble mode per se. Kelvin Sampson hasn't necessarily had a low block scoring big man. Obviously, you got guys like Jarace Walker, who's a little bit more forward facing. You have Chris Sinak, who's a little bit more forward facing. Think of Arfan Diane, again, not one to one, but kind of in the archetype of a Donovan Clingan type of player when it comes to what he brings skill set wise on the offensive end of the court. Obviously, an insanely valuable player in the college game, as we see the bigs are making a comeback in college, and all the best teams have an anchored big that they can play through and play with. Arfan Diane brings that. He's the number one ranked center in the 2025 recruiting class because of his physical ability of being ready to play. 7 foot 265. He's got a sturdy frame, got great length and everything, and he just really knows how to play the basketball. And he's good with the ball in his hands. You can run some different things off of him. He can face up a little bit, hit a pick and pop jump shot. He can also make passes out of the high post and all that as well. So there's some various things that you're able to do, some creativity you can have with him on the floor. Very interested to see what Kelvin Sampson does with him. Again, I haven't necessarily seen Kelvin have a traditional guy like that, especially in this run that he's had at Houston. But he brings a lot of value and adds a lot of things that are valuable: the physicality, the size, the ability to create one-on-one advantages on the block that Kelvin Sampson likes in his offenses and stuff as well. So, again, I agree with you 100%. Two very, very good gets. Way to close it out, in these last couple of days of the signing period to ink these two guys to get them to come in and sign. And, it's just he comes in this past class with Isaiah Harwell, Chris Sinak, and Kingston Flemings, follows that up with Ikenna Alozie and Arfan Diane still in the mix with like Caleb Holt and guys like that too. So it'll be interesting to see how they close this one out. But Houston's rolling on the recruiting trail
for sure. And as you're talking about the kind of player that Johnny is, and kind of the past Houston centers, I'm thinking, and J'Wan Roberts, probably the closest thing that Kelvin Sampson has had to that. But again, Roberts was a guy who kind of developed his ability to get down on the blocks over years. It was kind of in his junior and senior year that he had his biggest impact in the paint. So it's going to be interesting to see you combine kind of the 5-star pedigree with the ability to go down there and do something that Sampson has only gotten from probably a veteran guy who's got more experience. Not to say that that really will impact the result either way, but interesting to think through the kind of comparisons within that Kelvin Sampson system that we could see.
Oh, for sure. It's good problems to have.
Yeah,
A guy who comes in with the natural ability to be able to, again, create one-on-one advantages. Obviously, playing through the block, a lot of times his teams are, the offense is created from the guards. They have multiple points of attack where the guards are able to create advantageous situations for the team. Now he's able to actually still have the advantageous situations for his team with the guards, a little spacing on the side, but also able to dump it down and create offense inside out, which will be unique to what he's able to bring. So I mean, it's a good thing to have, and I'm very interested to see how it plays out.
for sure. And then we'll see what they're able to retain this year as well, because this team is looking loaded already. Very interested to see what that roster continues to shape out as from the returners, which we know that Houston has been really good at retaining over these past couple of years. And then obviously they'll be able to, like you said, round out the recruiting class, dip into the transfer portal for one or two probably. And this Houston team, just as we close out today, I mean, they have really gotten up in the mix, and for almost 20 years, it was the Kansas Invitational there in the Big 12 tournament. Houston kind of runs the show now.
Yeah, no, and the Big 12 is a sneaky. It's an intriguing league. There's a lot of things, a lot of variations that it can go. And like you said, Houston's playing well. Obviously, never discount Scott Drew. You have Kansas once Darren Peterson comes back, what they look like. There's a lot of positive things happening in the Big 12. There's a lot of parity across college basketball. This is an entirely different episode, I'm sure, that we could jump into. But the parity in college basketball right now, there's not one single dominant team. There's a handful of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even 11 teams that could possibly win it all at this point in time, too. So great time to have awesome MTEs, Feast Week. I mean, this whole season so far for the first month has just been incredible. Every single night there's been a top matchup, a top player, a top thing going on. Upsets galore, guys coming out of nowhere. Gosh, man, college basketball.
Yeah, a lot more to break down, and we'll be doing that over the course of the season. Next week, we'll be talking about some breakout sophomore seasons right here. We're going to go through some of these guys who have taken a leap and now need to be taken in real consideration for the NBA draft. Jamie, thanks for coming on again, and always enjoy talking hoops with you.
James, I appreciate you.